There is a story our ancestors told, a story whispered under the moonlight by village fires, a story of love, of betrayal, and of the choices parents make for their children. It is not just a tale of the past, but a mirror to our lives today. For in every culture, every generation, parents hold the power to shape destiny, sometimes with love, and sometimes with silence. Tonight, you will hear of Ao and Ifeoma, two young souls whose love was as bright as the sun but whose fate was tangled by secrets, traditions, and the decisions of their parents. This is not just a folktale, it is a warning, a cry across time for all parents to remember the weight of their choices. Long ago, in the heart of Nigeria, there was a prosperous village called Amuaro. The land was fertile, the yam harvests bountiful, and the people proud of their traditions. In this village lived Ao, the son of a respected hunter, and Ifeoma, the daughter of the village healer. From childhood, their paths had crossed like the weaving of palm fronds, inseparable and destined for one another. Ao was tall and strong, with eyes that burned like coal in the fire, always eager to protect, always eager to dream. Ifeoma, graceful as the flowing river, carried wisdom far beyond her years, with a laughter that could heal the wounded spirit. The village often whispered that their bond was blessed by the ancestors themselves. But behind the beauty of their connection, there was a secret, one buried deep in the hearts of their parents. When Ao was born, his father, Obinna, had once made a vow to the spirits. He had been saved from death during a hunting expedition gone wrong. In his desperation, he promised that his firstborn son would never marry outside of his clan. To break that vow would mean dishonor, perhaps even the wrath of the gods. At the same time, Ifeoma's mother, Ngozi, carried her own burden. Long ago, before she married, she had quarreled with Obinna's family. There was rivalry between their households, a wound never healed. Outwardly, the families lived in peace, but in the shadows, bitterness lingered. Thus, while Ao and Ifeoma laughed together in the fields and shared secret glances during moonlit festivals, their parents knew their love was forbidden. Yet they said nothing, letting the children's hearts grow closer each day. One evening, during the New Yam festival, Ao and Ifeoma found themselves alone by the river. The drums echoed in the distance, laughter and music filling the air. But for them, time stood still. Ifeoma, Ao whispered, "From the day I first saw you, I knew my spirit belonged to yours. You are the sun to my morning, and the moon to my night." Ifeoma smiled, her eyes glistening. "And you, Ao, are the drumbeat in my chest. Even if the world turned against us, I would never turn from you." In that moment, they promised themselves to one another, unaware that destiny had been shaped long before their birth. As their love blossomed, whispers reached the elders. Some praised their union, believing it would unite two powerful families. But Obinna, Ao's father, grew restless. He remembered his vow and the oath carved into his spirit. Late at night, he would sit by the fire, staring into the flames. His wife asked, "Why do you frown when your son laughs? Why do you scowl when he walks with Ifeoma?" Obinna would only reply, "Some promises, if broken, bring curses." Meanwhile, Ngozi, Ifeoma's mother, warned her daughter in hushed tones, "Love is sweet, my child, but sweet palm wine can also intoxicate. Do not bind your heart too tightly to Ao." But Ifeoma, young and bold, laughed off her warnings. "Mother, you always fear shadows even when the sun is shining." One day, a dispute broke out in the village square. Elders had discovered the secret meetings of Ao and Ifeoma, and they demanded answers. Could the children be allowed to unite, or would old grudges and vows divide them? The village chief called both families before the council. Ao, standing tall, declared, "I love Ifeoma, and no tradition, no vow, no ancient grudge will keep me from her. She is my destiny." Ifeoma, trembling but resolute, added, "My heart has chosen him. Let no one deny what the ancestors themselves have blessed." But Obinna's voice cut through like thunder. "This union cannot be. A vow is made to the gods, and to break it is to invite ruin on us all. Gasps spread through the crowd.
A vow?
The village murmured. What vow could be so powerful it would deny two young souls their love? Ngozi's face darkened. For the first time, she spoke the truth. It is not only a vow. It is old hatred. My family and his are bound by bitterness. No child of mine will marry into his household. The council erupted in chaos. The young lovers were torn apart, their hands pulled from each other's grasp as the villagers debated. And so began the true struggle, not just of Ao and Iphioma, but of their parents' choices, of promises made long ago, and of destinies broken in silence. The story of Ao and Iphioma had shaken the heart of Omuro village. Their love was pure, their bond unbreakable, yet they were prisoners of secrets buried in the past. Vows made by parents, grudges carried from old rivalries, and silence that had stretched across generations now threatened to destroy the future of two innocent souls. This is where the story turns darker, and where its message becomes a warning. A parent's silence today can become a child's suffering tomorrow. Despite the council's decree, Ao and Iphioma refused to surrender to fate. They met in secret by the riverbank, where the moonlight danced on the water. Iphioma, Ao whispered, holding her trembling hands, our parents' choices are not ours. If we find another village, we can build a new life together. Her eyes filled with both hope and fear. Ao, leaving would mean abandoning everything. Our families, our people, the land of our ancestors. Can love survive when cut from its roots? He pressed his forehead against hers. I would rather face the wrath of the gods than live a life without you. For the first time, the idea of escape seemed like the only way. But fate, as always, listens when young hearts defy tradition. Not long after, strange misfortunes began to plague the village. Crops withered, rains delayed, and hunters returned empty-handed. Whispers rose like smoke. It is the curse. The vow has been broken. The elders demanded a cleansing ritual. A diviner was summoned, an old woman with eyes clouded by age, but sharp with vision. She cast cowries and declared, "The gods are not angered by the children. The wrath comes from the silence of the parents. Secrets have poisoned the land. Until truth is spoken, peace will not return." All eyes turned to Obinna and Ngozi. Their silence was like a heavy stone pressing on the hearts of all. Still, pride held their tongues. Obinna muttered, I made a vow, yes, but it was for protection. The gods will punish if it is broken. Ngozi added bitterly, and my hatred is not without cause. His family once dishonored mine. Why should my daughter pay the price for their arrogance? The village grew restless. It was not the children who were at fault. It was the chains their parents refused to break. One stormy evening, Ao and Iphioma tried to flee. They gathered what little they could carry and slipped into the forest. The rain pounded, the wind howled, and the darkness swallowed them whole. But destiny is not so easily cheated. The villagers, alerted by a jealous rival who had seen them, pursued with torches. The young lovers were found beneath the giant iroko tree, clutching each other tightly, ready to defend their love with their lives. Take me, but not her, Ao cried.
No.
If he suffers, I suffer too, Iphioma screamed. The elders, torn between justice and compassion, demanded the parents decide their fate. Obinna and Ngozi stood before their children, the crowd waiting for their word. The silence stretched like a blade. Then, at last, Ngozi's voice cracked. Enough. I cannot bear it anymore. The truth must be told. The rain slowed, as if the heavens themselves leaned in to listen. Ngozi stepped forward, her hands trembling. Years ago, Obinna's family shamed mine. A promise of marriage was broken, leaving me dishonored. I carried that wound, and I swore never to let my daughter fall into their grasp. But it was my pride, not the will of the gods, that guided me. Gasps spread through the crowd. Then Obinna, his face pale with shame, spoke, and I too must confess. I vowed my firstborn son to the gods, yes, but not to deny him love. I swore only that he would marry within our people. And Iphioma, child of Amuro, is of our people. It was my fear, not the vow, that has bound me." The elders nodded solemnly. "So it is not the gods who have cursed us, but the pride and silence of parents. The land suffers when truth is hidden." The council gave its verdict. If the parents release their pride, if forgiveness is embraced, then the union may proceed. The ancestors do not punish love, they punish lies. Ao and Iphioma fell to their knees, tears mixing with the rain. For the first time, their future seemed within reach. But even as the villagers rejoiced, Obinna and Gozi faced the heaviest choice of all, to let go of the grudges that had defined their lives. Slowly, Obinna extended his hand toward Ngozi. "For the sake of our children, for the sake of peace, let the past die tonight." Ngozi hesitated, her eyes flickering with years of bitterness. But then she saw her daughter's tear-streaked face, her desperation. With a trembling breath, she placed her hand in his. The crowd erupted in relief. The curse lifted, and for the first time in generations, the two families embraced as one.